Did you know that Asia has a desert that's been on fire for over 50 years? Or that it has a lake that turned pink overnight? How about the fact that there's a river that flows backwards? Well, Asian geography is full of crazy facts like this, most of them so bizarre that you'd think they're fake. So get ready because we're about to explore 50 of the most bizarre and unbelievable facts about Asian geography. Fact 50, the world's largest archipelago. The world's largest archipelago, 17,500 islands. Asia's massive scale really shows when you look at Indonesia, the largest island country in the world. It has over 17,000 islands stretching between the Pacific and Indian Oceans. That adds up to more than 50,000 mi of coastline and about 3,590 meters from end to end. Some islands are huge like Borneo and Sumatra, while others are tiny and untouched. Some are covered in jungle. Others are completely uninhabited. It's a perfect example of how wild, diverse, and spread out Asia's geography can be. Fact 49, the loudest sound in recorded history. Another massive record breaker for Asia. In August 1883, Indonesia's Krakatoa volcano exploded in one of the most violent eruptions ever. The blast was so huge it was heard up to $3,000 away, estimated to be 310 dB. In fact, people in Perth and Madius actually thought they were near artillery fire. With an explosive force of a 200 megaton bomb, the pressure wave circled the globe multiple times and over 36,000 people passed, mostly from giant tsunamis. Ash shot 50 meters into the sky and global temperatures dropped. The next year, the island was obliterated, leaving behind the new volcano, Anak Krakatoa. Fact 48, the most alien-looking island on Earth. Off the coast of Yemen, there's an island so strange, most alien-looking island on Earth. It looks like it belongs on another planet. It's called Sotra, and it's the biggest island in the Sotra archipelago. Because it's been isolated for millions of years, the plants and animals there evolved in their own weird way. And the result is wild. About 1 in 3 plants on Sotra can't be found anywhere else, including the famous dragon's blood tree, which has red sap and looks like a giant umbrella. There's also the desert rose, which looks like a tree with a fat trunk and even a cucumber tree. Nearly all the reptiles and land snails on the island are completely unique. Sotra also has giant sand dunes, hidden limestone caves, bats, and rare birds living in the dark. It's one of the most bizarre and untouched places on Earth. Fact 47, Majuli, the island in a river. In the middle of a massive river in India sits something you don't see every day, a giant island. Majuli is the largest river island in the world, covering an area of around 880 kilometers, 340 miles, floating right in the Brahmaputra River in Assam. It used to be full of villages and rich Assami culture, but over time the river has slowly been eating away at it through erosion. Even so, people still live there on an island inside a river. That alone makes it one of the strangest and most fascinating geographic spots in India. Since 2004, UNESCO has even been considering it for World Heritage status. Fact 46. A desert is on fire for 50 plus years. This crazy fact takes the phrase eternal flame to a whole new meaning. In Turkmenistan's Karakum Desert, the Darvaza gas crater, aka Door to Hell, has been burning since 1971. Created when Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas and accidentally caused the ground to collapse, a methane gas was released. Geologists set the gas on fire to stop toxic fumes, thinking it would burn out in a few weeks. Instead, it's been burning for over 50 years. The crater, about 70 meters wide and 30 meters deep, is filled with vents of open flame, lighting up the night with an orange glow. As you get closer, the heat is intense and the sound of burning gas is loud, like standing near the Earth's open furnace. Locals say it started as a failed Soviet experiment, and even though leaders have tried to shut it down, the gates of hell is still one of Turkmenistan's strangest sights. Fact 45, the Caspian Sea, a giant lake below sea level. Yes, the Caspian Sea, you heard that right. Despite what its name makes you think, the Caspian Sea is actually a lake, but not just any lake, the world's largest. While the name suggests a connection to the ocean, like other seas, It's an inland body of water completely surrounded by land spanning about 371,000 kilometers, roughly 143,000 square miles, more than all of Germany. It's landlocked but acts like a sea with salt water and ancient marine life. Its surface sits 28 meters, 92 feet below sea level in a basin, so deep it's technically below ocean levels. Surrounded by desert and grassy plains, the Caspian has its own islands, indigenous seals, and oil-rich depths, making it one of nature's most bizarre and fascinating lakes. Fact 44. The glacier. Longer than Los Angeles Glacier, longer than Los Angeles. Deep in Central Asia's premier mountains lies the Fechinko Glacier, and it's got a pretty, excuse the pun, cool record. At 77 kilometers, about 48 mi, it's the longest glacier outside the polar regions. Picture an enormous river of ice, snow, and rock twisting and turning through the valleys of a high mountain range, longer than Los Angeles. This glacier has been flowing for thousands of years, supported by the heavy snowfall found in the Pamir region. It's so massive that it feeds some of Central Asia's major rivers, but despite its size, very few people have ever seen it in person. That's because it's tucked away in a remote, high-altitude region covered in ice and snow year-round. It's one of the least seen but most important glaciers in the world. Fact 43. A river that creates a tidal wave. In eastern China, a river that creates a tidal wave, the Qiantang River, formerly known as the Hongche River, experiences the most powerful tidal bore in the world, known as the Silver Dragon. Each fall, ocean tides rush into its bay and create a wave that pushes upstream, sometimes reaching 9 meters, 30 feet high, and moving as fast as 40 kilometers an hour, 25 mph. Crowds gather near Hangzhou to watch it crash upriver, a rare sight where the water flows in reverse. It's also become a challenge for surfers, some who still try to ride the wave today. Fact 42. The White Desert that floods. White Desert that floods. The Great Rann of Kutch, spanning northwestern India and Pakistan, is one of the world's largest salt deserts. For the majority of the year, it's a huge blinding white stretch of salt flats. So flat and reflective, astronauts have called it a snowfield from space. But here's the wild part. During monsoon season, heavy rains and seawater turn it into a shallow lake, making the salt flats disappear under the water. When the rain stopped, the water evaporates, leaving behind a sparkling crust of salt. It's a bizarre cycle. Half the year a desert, the other half underwater. Fact 41. The desert. The desert that changes color, that changes color. When you think of deserts, green isn't usually the first thing that comes to mind, right? But every summer in South Oman, that's exactly what happens. The Dar region near Salalah is dry most of the year until the Kharif monsoon arrives from June to September. During those months, cool, damp winds from the Indian Ocean bring rain, fog, and mist, transforming the desert into green hills, flowing waterfalls, and blooming valleys. It feels more like a rainforest than Arabia. People from across the Gulf visit just to see this rare green desert come to life. Fact 40. No humans for 70. No humans for 70 years. A wildlife paradise. The Korean DMZ, known as a tense military buffer, has unexpectedly become a wildlife refuge. Spanning 250 kilometers, 160 mi long, and 4 kilometers to 1 to 2 meter wide, this strip between North and South Korea has been virtually untouched since 1953, giving nature free rein. More than 70 mammal species and 300 bird species, including rare Red Sea crowned cranes, Asiatic bears, and leopards, can be found in its woods and marshes today. Although it is one of the most heavily guarded borders in the world, wildlife thrives despite the presence of soldiers and barbed wire. Herds of deer and even tigers have been seen in this off-limit zone. In the middle of global conflict, nature has reclaimed the area, creating a strange, unplanned peace park. Fact 39. The world's tallest natural dam. World's tallest natural dam, and Tajikistan's premier lake Serez, was born in 1911 when a massive earthquake caused a landslide that blocked a river. As a result, the enormous Usoy Dam was formed. It stands at 567 meters, 1,860 ft tall, making it the highest natural dam on Earth, dwarfing Tajikistan's tallest man-made dam at 300 meters. The landslide buried 2 cubic km of rock, creating a deep 75-kilometer-long lake up to 500 meters deep. Scientists monitor Usoy closely. If it ever fails, a catastrophic flood would be the result. A towering barrier formed in minutes by mountain chaos, hiding the insane power that shaped it. Nature's own skyscraper of disaster. Fact 38. The inception of enclaves. The India-Bangladesh border once had a geographic oddity so bizarre it sounds made up. Dalat Kagrabari was the world's only third-order enclave. Imagine this, a tiny piece of India inside Bangladesh, which itself was inside an Indian enclave in Bangladesh. Basically, an island of India within Bangladesh inside an Indian enclave inside Bangladesh. Try and get your head around that. This small patch of farmland, about 7 acres, has residents crossing multiple borders just to visit neighbors. It was almost too crazy to believe. Thankfully, in 2015, India and Bangladesh swapped enclaves, cleaning up the border and erasing Dahala Kagrari. Fact 37. The river that flows backwards. The Tunglai Sap River in Cambodia is famous for something truly incredible. It is the only river in the world that changes its flow annually. During the dry season, it drains the lake and flows into the Mekong River. However, when the Mekong River swells during monsoon season, it pushes water back up the river, causing it to flow in reverse into the lake. This remarkable shift allows the lake to expand drastically. It also floods forests and fields, and this yearly change is referred to as the country's heartbeat. The rich sediment left behind helps feed fish nurseries and acts like natural irrigation for the land. Once the monsoon season ends, the river gradually shrinks back to its normal size. Fact 36. The world's deepest gorge. Think the Grand Canyon is deep? The world's deepest gorge. The Yarlung Sanpo. Grand Canyon in Tibet goes even deeper by a lot. Carved by the upper Brahmaputra River as it winds through the Himalayas, this canyon drops as much as 6,009 meters, 19,114 ft. That's deeper than Mount Kilimanjaro is tall. It's the deepest land canyon in the world. Located in a remote part of the eastern Himalayas near Namcha, it was so hard to reach that myths of a hidden paradise or Shangri-La surrounded it for years. It wasn't until the 1990s that explorers confirmed just how massive and wild it really is. The river drops over 2,700 meters in 240 kilometers, creating intense rapids, waterfalls, and a canyon nearly twice as deep in 60 kilometers longer than the Grand Canyon. Fact 35. Booming Sands, the Singing Dunes. In Booming Sands parts of the Gobi Desert and Kazakhstan's Alan Amel, some giant sand dunes make a strange humming sound when the sand shifts. The tunes are singing. When it's dry, sliding sand can create a deep, low noise, almost like a distant drum or an organ note. The sound can even be strong enough to feel through the ground. It happens when millions of grains move together, vibrating through the air. Each dune can produce its own unique note, and even Marco Polo once wrote about these singing sands. It might sound like a myth, but it's a real natural phenomenon. Fact 34. Lake that turned pink overnight. In 2020, Lonar Lake in India shocked everyone by suddenly turning bright pink. This 50,000-year-old crater lake formed by an ancient asteroid impact usually has greenish, salty water. But within days, it shifted to an odd reddish hue like strawberry milk spilled into the water. Samples were quickly sent to several labs, and scientists soon discovered that a surge in halophilic microbes and algae fueled by rising salinity and temperature caused color change. Lonar is already unusual with its salty basaltrich setting, but it got even more bizarre when the water suddenly turned bright pink. It ended up looking like Lake Natron in Tanzania, or Australia's Lake Hillier. Fact 33. The underwater forest of Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan's Tian Shan Mountains lies Lake Kandy, an alpine lake with a haunting secret, a sunken forest. It formed in 1911 when a landslide caused by an earthquake swamped a spruce forest and blocked a valley. Dozens of gray tree trunks still stand upright underwater like masts frozen in place. Their pine needles are still intact, perfectly preserved beneath the surface. Divers say it feels like swimming through a spooky underwater forest. From above, the bright blue water and sunken trees created an eerie, almost unreal sight, a forest trapped beneath the waves. Fact 32. From jungles to the top of the world. Did you know that Nepal has the greatest altitude change of any location on Earth? That's right, Nepal's geography is nothing short of extreme. In just about 200 kilometers, 120 policy May north to south, elevation jumps from near sea level to the world's highest peak. The southern Terai Plains sits at 60 to 70 meter, with humid jungles and crocodiles. A short drive north and you're in the towering Himalayas, peaking at Mount Everest's 8,849 meter. That's over 8,800 meter, 29,000 ft of elevation change in a tiny country. Nepal packs every climate zone, tropical rainforest, temperate hills, alpine tundra, and glaciers like a vertical slice of Earth's entire ecosystem. Fact 31, a 120-kilometer-long beach. Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh is often called the longest natural sea beach in the world. It runs about 120 kilometers, 75 miles long along the Bay of Bengal, located roughly 150 kilometers south of Chhatak. The shoreline is continuous and flat with gentle waves and packed sand that people can walk for hours. It's a major point of pride for locals and a unique geographic feature that sets Bangladesh apart. Fact 30. The Rainbow Mountains of China, Jiangdanxia. Geop Park is an unreal burst of color in Gansu. It looks like a painting or something from a Dr. Seuss novel, with its ripply hills dotted with reds, oranges, yellows, greens, and blues. These vibrant stripes formed over 20 million years from layers of sandstone and minerals elevated and carved by erosion. Iron oxide gives reds and oranges, while other minerals add greens and purples. The landscape's stunning hues often look photoshopped, but it's 100% real. Visitors feel like they've stepped onto an alien planet, especially under different sunlight or after rain when the colors glow even more. Fact 29. Land of Fire. Azerbaijan's burning mud. Land of Fire. Azerbaijan is a true land of fire, home to over 350 of the world's 700 mud volcanoes. Unlike fiery lava volcanoes, these spew cold mud and gas, some bubbling continuously, others igniting with flames when methane catches fire. In 2001, a mud volcano near Baku shot flames 15 meters high, described as a large explosion with flames visible from 15 kilometers away, with one flame burning for 5 minutes straight. Elsewhere at Gobistan, visitors can see many mud mountains spattering thick mud. A bizarre spectacle of earth farting fire and mud. The Empty Quarter Dune Sea, Fact 28. The Empty Quarters Dune Sea, the largest continuous sand desert in the world. The Rub Alkali, also known as the Empty Quarter, is located in Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen, and the United Arab Emirates, covering approximately 250,000 square miles, and its towering sand dunes getting as high as 820 QFT. This desert is as big as France. With temperatures above 50 degrees C, this desert is made up of shifting sand dunes, almost no water, and barely any signs of life. Local legends speak of lost civilizations buried beneath the sands, while deep below, oil helps power nearby economies. Because the landscape constantly changes and everything looks the same, GPS is the only way to avoid getting lost. It feels more like something out of a sci-fi movie than a real place on Earth. Fact 27. Earth's lowest exposed point. The Dead Sea on the Jordan-Israel border sits about 430.5 meters below sea level, the lowest land on Earth. Its hypersaline waters, 34%, make fish impossible and allow people to float effortlessly like corks. The mineral-rich lake's unique environment features extra oxygen and filtered sunlight, making it a popular wellness spot. Used since ancient times for mud balms and mummification, the Dead Sea's waters shrink rapidly, leaving unreal salt formations. A swim here feels like stepping into another world at Earth's deepest dry point. Fact 26. A nation just 2 meters tall. Did you know that the A-nation just 2-meter tall Indian Ocean archipelago of Maldives holds the record of being the flattest country in the world? Well, it's so flat that people have compared it to a pancake. Okay, while it isn't that flat, it is literally only 112m, 5ft, 2.4m, 8ft at its highest point, and can be described as a region that is barely lifted off the ocean surface. Although waves have the potential to fully engulf some of its islands, tossing its treasures around violently, the world benefits from its stunning, pristine beaches. The government uses stunningly unique Maldivian cabinet meetings, with a twist to promote governmental awareness, tailor-made to show the risk of rising sea levels. Cabinet members have held meetings underwater in full scuba gear. Fact 25. Siberia's gateway to the underworld. In eastern Siberia, the Bodica crater, often called the doorway to hell, is a massive hole caused by melting permafrost. It's over 1 kilometer long, 86 meters deep, and growing bigger every year. As the ground continues to collapse, it reveals layers of earth and even fossils from the Ice Age, some as old as 200,000 years. Landslides keep pushing the crater deeper by 10 to 30 meters each year, and it's a clear sign of how climate change is reshaping the Siberian landscape, uncovering ancient history in the process. Fact 24, the double-locked nation. Landlocked countries are more common than most people think, but Uzbekistan in Central Asia takes it to another level. It's one of only 2 countries in the world that are doubly landlocked, meaning all of its neighbors, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Turkmenistan, are landlocked too. To reach the ocean from Uzbekistan, you'd have to cross at least 2 national borders. It's like being surrounded by landlocked countries that are also surrounded by more land. The only other country like this is Liechtenstein in Europe. What's even more interesting is that Uzbekistan once had access to a major inland sea, the Ural Sea, but that's a different story we'll cover later. This rare geography affects everything from its trade routes to its climate, making Uzbekistan truly one of a kind, or I guess 2 of a kind. Fact 23. The highest mountain never climbed. The world's tallest unclimbed peak is Genkarpunam, located on the Bhutan-China border, towering at 7,570 meter, 24,036 ft. In today's world full of adventurers, many of which film their missions, it's hard to believe that there is a mountain out there that's never been scaled. However, out of respect for local spiritual beliefs, Bhutan prohibited climbs above $6,000 minimum despite multiple efforts in the 1980s. Because of this, its summit is still intact and rises over summits in Europe and North America. Genarunum is a geographical legend because of its off-limit status and spiritual significance, showing that some of the highest peaks on Earth are still uncharted. Fact 22. Ocean fossils on Mount Everest. If you thought the crazy ocean fossils on Mount Everest mountain facts ended with Genkarpunam, think again. Everest summit at 8,849 meters was once part of the seafloor of the ancient Tethys Ocean. Today, marine limestone with fossils of sea creatures like trilobites and cryoids is found near the top. Ow! Plate tectonics rocks formed around 450 million years ago as seafloor sediments, then were elevated when India's plate collided with Asia. Today's tallest mountain was once underwater, a reminder that Earth's landscape is constantly reshaped, turning seabeds into summits. Fact 21. The coldest inhabited place on Earth. The coldest inhabited place on Earth. Did you know that Siberia holds the record for the coldest permanently inhabited settlement, with temperatures dropping to 67.7 degrees C, 89.9 degrees F, nicknamed the Pole of Cold here? January highs average around 50 degrees C, must run constantly. Ink freezes and boiling water turns to ice instantly. About 500 hardy Yakut residents live here, raising animals adapted to extreme cold. In summer, temperatures can reach plus 30 degrees C, a 100+ degree swing. The Pole of Cold's valley traps chilly air with permafrost, requiring bonfires to dig graves. Eyelashes freeze in seconds and school only closes below 55 degrees C. Fact 20. The wettest place on Earth. From extremely cold to incredibly wet, it's safe to say that things in Asia can get pretty extreme. The record for the most precipitation is held by Mawson Ram Mega India, with an annual rainfall of approximately 11,172 millimeters 467, in which is nearly 20 times that of London. The area is constantly flooded by rain during the monsoon season June to August. The locals use bamboo nups as rain shields and grass to soundproof their homes. While the area can dry out in winter, the intense monsoon rains transform it throughout the rest of the year. The result is steep green cliffs, flowing waterfalls, and some of the most dramatic rain-shaped scenery anywhere on Earth. Fact 19. A mangrove forest with man-eating tigers. The Sundarbans, which stretch across India and Bangladesh, are the largest mangrove forest in the world and home to over 100 Bengal tigers. These tigers swim between islands, and some have been known to attack humans, likely due to shrinking habitats and lack of prey. Fishermen and honey collectors even wear masks on the backs of their heads to avoid surprise attacks. But it's not just tigers. This swamp is full of life, from saltwater crocodiles and dolphins to fishing cats and rare birds. It's one of the only places on Earth where humans aren't at the top of the food chain. Fact 18. The world's largest bloom with a nasty twist. Rafflesia arnoldi, found in Southeast Asia, rainforests produce the largest flower on Earth, up to 1 meters across and weighing 10 kilo. Pretty impressive, right? But there's a kicker here. It literally reeks. Its fleshy red petals with white spots emit a carcass smell to attract flies for pollination, a stink that many have compared to rotten flesh. Lacking leaves or roots, it's a parasitic plant on jungle vines, emerging only as a massive bloom that lasts just a few days. Discovered in Sumatra in 1818, Rafflesia is rare and elusive, a bizarre alien-like marvel of nature that seems almost too strange to the coral triangle be real. Fact 17. The coral nursery of the world. Often referred to as the nursery of the seas, the Coral Triangle is the most biodiverse marine region on Earth, encompassing Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, the Solomons, and Timor-Leste. Covering half the size of the U.S., it is home to over 600 coral species, around 2,200 fish species, and 6 of the world's 7 sea turtle species. Snorkeling here reveals a huge explosion of life: brain corals, clownfish, sharks, turtles, and more. Some reefs in Indonesia have more coral species than the entire Caribbean. This underwater Eden, like a marine rainforest, is a global center of marine biodiversity, continually revealing new species and amazing complexity. Fact 16. The Pacific's Ring of Fire on steroids. Many don't realize that Indonesia is a volcanic powerhouse, not just a group of islands. Volcanoes are a part of its history, with about 130 active volcanoes, the most of any nation. This high concentration of volcanoes is due to Indonesia's location on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a region known for intense tectonic activity. Iconic peaks like Mount Bromo, Mount Tagong, and Siniabang pepper the islands with some infamous 4 disasters. The 1815 eruption of Tambora triggered the year without a summer, and Krakatoa's 1883 explosion reshaped the world's atmosphere. Java alone hosts over 30 active volcanoes. For locals, quakes and ashfalls are routine, but the fertile volcanic soil supports one of the world's densest rural populations. Indonesia skyline, split between quiet streamers and roaring giants, feels like a fantasy, yet it's everyday life for millions living among these fiery mountains. Fact 15, where 3 giant mountain ranges collide. Did you know that the Himalayas, Karakoram, and Hindu Kush meet at a unique geological point in northern Pakistan? All 3 ranges may be seen coming together near the Gilgit and Indus rivers. The Hindu Kush, which stretches west towards Afghanistan, the Karakoram, which features K2, and the Himalayas, which are home to Everest to the east. The Indo-Australian plate pushing upward causes frequent earthquakes on this unusual tri-range roof of the world. Pakistan is the only location where these enormous ranges come together, and the region signage proudly commemorates this unique meeting spot, which looks like a geological theme park. For both geologists and mountain lovers, it's a paradise. Fact 14. Real-life dragons in Indonesia. Dragons that fly and breathe fire may be make-believe, but these creatures would make you think they exist. On remote Indonesian islands like Komodo, Rena, and Flores, the giant Komodo dragons roam. These massive lizards, up to 3 mm, 10 feet long, and 150 kilos, 330 lb, are majestic top predators with fork tongues, serrated teeth, and mild venom that can allow them to ambush deer, wild boar, and water buffalo. They've been known to attack humans, earning a fearsome reputation. Unknown until about a century ago, locals call them ora and hold them in lore. Capable of eating up to 80% of their body weight in one meal, teens escape cannibalistic adults by climbing trees. So, watching a Komodo swagger through the dry forest truly feels like stepping into the age of dinosaurs. Fact 13. The supervolcano that nearly wiped us all out. As drastic as it may sound, some scientists theorize that Lake Toba in Sumatra nearly destroyed the human population. Sitting above a massive caldera formed by one of Earth's largest eruptions in the past 2 million years, around 74,000 years ago, Toba erupted with such force that it let out roughly 2,800 cubic kilm of ash, far more than Krakatoa or Pinatubo, causing a volcanic winter and significant global cooling. Some scientists believe this event reduced early human populations to just tens of thousands, potentially impacting human evolution. The eruption created a 100-kilometer-long cirrus, now filled by Lake Toba. Today's lake hides the story of a disastrous event that drastically altered Earth's climate and possibly our ancestors' fate, an astonishing reminder of nature's power. Fact 12. The cave so big it has a jungle inside. Deep in Vietnam's jungles lies Hong Xiong Dong, the world's largest natural cave by volume, and it didn't even become known until 2009. This massive wonder is so huge that a Boeing 747 could fly through its biggest chamber. It even has its own weather system, stretching over 9 kilometers with sections soaring 200 millimeters high and 150 millimeters wide. Parts of the cave spill sunlight through collapsed roofs, letting a rainforest of tall trees, vines, and wildlife like monkeys and birds thrive inside. Yep, there's literally a jungle inside a cave. It also has an internal, fast-flowing underground river equipped with waterfalls and the largest cross-section of any cave. Clouds swirl near the ceiling from evaporating water, and stalagmites up to 70 mm add to the scene. When explorers first stepped inside, they felt like they'd entered a lost world deep beneath the Earth's surface. Fact 11. The volcano of blue fire. At night, Indonesia's Kawah Ain. The volcano of Blue Fire volcano puts on a show you won't see anywhere else. Bright blue flames flowing down the slopes. They aren't lava, but burning sulfur gas that catches fire when it hits the air, creating a glowing blue effect. During the day, the volcano looks fairly normal, with a crater holding the world's largest acidic lake, colored bright turquoise. But after dark, the sulfur vents ignite, sending flames up to 5 meters high and causing liquid sulfur to glow as it runs downhill. It's a rare and stunning natural phenomenon. Local miners work in these harsh conditions to collect solid sulfur, often through the night since the blue flames can't be seen in daylight. Fact 10. 1,500 Chocolate Hills. Mythical creatures along with humans are said to have existed due to the presence of the perfectly cone-shaped hills in Bohol, Philippines. On the other hand, the Chocolate Hills got their name after these dome-shaped mounds being 30 to 50 meters tall were brown in the dry season, which made them look like giant Hershey kisses. According to some, the hills stretch across 50 square kilometers, and there are 1,260 of them, but others believe the number is up to 1,776. These hills are also symmetrical and consistent, which means they all look alike. Geologists tried to explain how haystack shapes formed with more than one weathering of marine limestone, but the identical part remains a mystery. Locals believe that the colorful giants, tears, or mud being thrown around by two heartbroken giants is the reason why the giant heartbreaker exists. While standing at a viewpoint, you're able to gaze at the mounds, making it easy to believe that these hills were placed there by someone or something. Fact 9. A half-salty, half-freshwater lake. Kazakhstan's lake. Balkhash is one of the only lakes in the world with both fresh and salty water. The western side is fresh water, while the eastern side is salty. Separated by a narrow strait, plus a peninsula and some islands. The Eli River feeds the western half, keeping it fresh, but the eastern side doesn't get much new water and loses a lot to evaporation, making it brackish. It's so distinct that fishermen once caught different types of fish on either side. Today, water levels are falling and the salty side is growing. It's a rare case where one lake acts like two, completely different bodies of water. Fact 8. The point farthest from any ocean. Deep in China's Shenzhen Desert. The point farthest from any ocean lies the most isolated spot on Earth, the Eurasian Pole of Inaccessibility. Located around 46 degrees 17 minutes north, 86 degrees 40 minutes east, it's about 2,600 kilometers from any coastline, meaning you'd have to travel over 1,600 meters in any direction just to reach the sea. For some perspective, that's about the distance between New York City and Denver. Nestled in the remote Zuzutoyan Elisine Desert near where Kazakhstan and Mongolia meet, it's so secluded that only a few explorers have visited it, marked by a pole and a plaque surrounded by endless plains and desert. Standing here really makes you feel the size of Asia. Some debate exactly where the farthest point is, but most agree it's in northwestern China. There are no major cities nearby, and it's extremely hard to reach by land. The closest city is Aruni, about 200 miles south, and the nearest settlement is Hoktol, about 30 knots or more away. Fact 7. The Blue-Eyed Lake of Siberia. Lake Baikal in Siberia is truly extraordinary. A record-breaking wonder that appears almost too big to be true, but it's completely real. In fact, it's the world's deepest 1,642 meters, oldest over 25 million years, and largest by volume, containing about 1,005 of all unfrozen fresh water on Earth. That's more than all of the Great Lakes combined. If its water were spread evenly, it would cover the planet to a depth of 20 centimeters. Winter ice, which is famous for its waterways, is so clear that you can see me below and even feel a little lightheaded when you walk on it. More than 3,000 species can be found here, including the rare ball nurpa seal, the only freshwater seal. Its blue eye appears almost otherworldly, particularly when there are large deposits of turquoise ice on its frozen surface. It has an island with holy shaman sites and is encircled by mountains and trees. Baikal is known as the Sacred Sea by the locals, and because of its enormous size and distinct ecology, it looks like an inland ocean. Fact 6. Floating village that moves with the water. Tonle Sap Lake in Cambodia isn't just famous for its reverse-flowing river. Entire villages float on it and move with the seasons. When the monsoon floods hit, the lake can grow to 5 times its normal size, and floating homes, schools, shops, and even police stations simply drift to higher ground. Some villages are fully boat-based and relocate several times a year depending on water levels. This mobile lifestyle means that local communities aren't tied to land at all. The lake itself becomes both road and real estate. It's one of the few places on Earth where the entire population lives on shifting water, adapting in real time to geography that refuses to stay still. Fact 5. The sea that vanished. The RLC was once the 4th largest lake in the world, but now most of it is gone. In 1960, it covered around 68,000 square kilometers, almost the size of Ireland. But when the Soviet Union diverted the rivers that fed it for farming, the water started to disappear. Over time, the lake shrank to just 10% of its original size. What's left behind is shocking. Dry land, salt flats, rusted ships sitting miles from any water, and towns that used to be fishing ports now surrounded by desert. By 2001, the southern part had broken off completely, and by 2014, the entire eastern basin dried up. Without the lake to regulate the climate, temperatures became more extreme, and toxic dust storms started sweeping through the region. The area is now called the Arakan Desert. Even the maps had to be redrawn as islands turned into land and coastlines vanished. While the northern part of Kazakhstan has seen some recovery, the Aral Sea's near total collapse is still considered one of the worst environmental disasters in history. It's hard to believe an entire sea could disappear in just one lifetime, but that's exactly what happened. Fact 4. Earth's deepest abyss in Asia's backyard. Sounds dark, right? But don't worry, this is much more of a cool fact than a creepy one. The Challenger Deep, located in the Mariana Trench near the Philippines, is the lowest point in the world seas, reaching a depth of around 10,184 mem 36 and 37 ft below sea level. That means it is over 2 kilometers deeper than Mount Everest is tall. For some more perspective, if Everest were ever dropped into the trench, its peak would still be submerged by more than a mile of water. The trench stretches 2,550 kilometers long and a few kilometers wide like a deep scar in the seafloor. The pressure at the bottom is crushing, over 1,000 times atmospheric pressure, but surprisingly, life persists. Snailfish, shrimps, and tiny organisms thrive at nearly 11 kilometers deep. The first human descent in 1960 reported a flatfish, though debated, and filmmaker James Cameron made a solo dive in 2012, witnessing a surreal moon-like landscape. It's hard to imagine a chasm so deep, like the distance from the surface to cruising altitude. Yet, it's a real extreme part of our planet right next to Asia. Fact 3, the Sea of Stars. Did you know that on beaches in the Sea of Stars, the Maldives, Puerto Rico, or Vietnam's Condau Islands, you can witness the magical glow of bioluminescent plankton, creating a sea of stars? Here, the water shimmers like a starry sky at night when tiny dinoflagellates are triggered by waves to release a dazzling blue glow. You can even swim across the sparkling water in spots like the Maldives, creating glowing trails in the process. This magnificent occurrence, which lasts for hours and provides one of nature's most magnificent views, is most vivid in the Maldives but occurs all around the world. It demonstrates that the ocean can actually shine, transforming the seas into a live, breathing galaxy. Fact 2, the invisible border of India and Bangladesh, like a real-life game of territorial hide-and-seek. Between India and Bangladesh lies a tiny, bizarre strip of land called the Bangladesh-India Enclaves, or Chipmas. These are areas of one nation's territory that are totally encircled by the other, forming a patchwork of small, asymmetrical islands inside islands. At one point, there were over 100 such enclaves, some as small as a few hundred square meters, whose borders are so complicated that residents on either side often had to cross international borders just to reach their own homes or fields. In 2015, a landmark border agreement finally simplified these bizarre enclaves, but the patchwork of tiny territories remains a fascinating, almost surreal example of how human borders can turn into geographical puzzles. Fact 1, an island in a lake. In a lake, we've had an island inside an enclave, but this one is an even bigger mind-bender. And yes, it's 100% real. On Luzon, the Philippines' largest island, lies Lake Taal. Inside it is Volcano Island, which has its own crater lake. And within that crater lake, Vulcan Point, a tiny island in a lake on an island in a lake on an island. Think Russian dolls nesting forever. Luzon, Lake Taal, Volcano Island, the crater lake, and then Vulcan Point. It's so wild it feels made up. When the Taal volcano in the Philippines erupted in, for themselves, early 2020, the lake dried up and Vulcan Point briefly vanished, showing just how quickly nature can change the land. Since then, the water has returned, and so has the island. Visitors can still boat across the lake, hike to the crater, and see this unusual island within a lake on an island in a lake for themselves. It's one of the most unusual geographic features in the world. If your mind doesn't feel bent enough, subscribe to our channel Earth Explorer Hub for more interesting facts around the Woolard.